So my name is Alicia Boyd. As you know, I'm one of the apprenticeship specialists here with TWC's Office of Apprenticeship, and thank you all for joining us again today. We're going to be continuing our discussion. Me, along with my esteemed colleague and fam, will be continuing our discussion on employer engagement today. So we can go to the next slide. And I know a lot of us, we think a lot about these trainings before they get to you, and we talk about how we can make them a little bit more interesting and sort of shake things up, because so many of us have Teams fatigue at this point. But today we thought, why not, since we're talking about how to best engage with employers, why not invite an employer into the conversation with us, someone who's recently gone through this whole process of creating a registered apprenticeship program with our team, and pick their brain and get some information from them. So that's what we're going to do today. Anne is going to discuss with our special guest that a lot of you, it sounds like you know, or a couple of you know already. She's going to find out exactly what was it that convinced him to take the plunge and start his program, and also just ask how he thinks we can best approach employers who are maybe on the fence about apprenticeship. So after that, like you can see there, we're going to do some teamwork. We'll have some breakout rooms and give you all an opportunity to work in smaller groups. And we'll talk about strategies, and then we'll finish things up with Q&A and with some announcements. So, oh, Brandy, did you have any questions?
I had just responded to someone. I can't see the screen. It says can't display content. Am I the only one?
Oh, yeah. Is anyone else having issues viewing the PowerPoint?
I can see fine. This is Sabrina.
Oh, geez, I'm causing problems. Okay, I'll figure it out. I might back out and come back in. Sorry.
Oh, no worries.
Alicia,
Thanks for letting me know.
are we recording? Is this session going to be recorded?
Yes, we are. Yep.
Great.
All right. Well, without any further ado, I'm going to turn things over to Ian.
Well, hi everyone. We are in for a special treat today. And today I have with me Mr. Steve Boss. He is the Director of Knowledge and Education at Freshpet. And Freshpet recently became a registered apprenticeship program sponsor. And they are building a multi-million-dollar facility, manufacturing facility in Ennis, Texas. So if you could, please help me welcome Steve to our meeting today. So Steve, we're going to jump right in. Thank you so much for joining us. I realize your time is very important, so we're really grateful that you are here with us today. Before we get started, could you tell us a little bit more about Freshpet, who you are and what you do?
Start off with, first of all, hello. I was looking at the list here. There's a couple people, Brandy and Tara are here. So I guess you guys, yeah. There's a few people I know on this list already. So hello to both of you. Good to see you both here again, as well as Ann and Alicia. So it's good to be here, and thank you very much for having me. I started off with Freshpet just coming up, actually in 5 days. It'll be 13 years. Pretty much in the beginning. We started in 2006 with the idea that we could take and make a fresh pet dog food. Fresh being a different term other than dried and or canned. In doing that process over the last, well, what's that, 16 years? We've been growing at an average rate of anywhere between 25 to 30% in sales, as well as about 25 to 30% in people as well. Right now, currently, we've got 2 different plants in here. We've got about 350 hourly employees in here, about 150 salaried. That number, once Texas gets into place, will be up over 1,000 in the next year. So, growth, that's what it's all about, from top to bottom. And then how do you handle growth? Which kind of brings me to where I came in. I started off in this position as an operations manager. In a previous life, I've been a maintenance and engineering manager. In a previous life, I've been a facilities manager. In a previous life, done production and production management. So I've come all over the board. And so given my expertise in all the different areas, they decided to put me into training. And so 5 years ago, we started on the program with the idea that we needed to take training, because training these days, and given all of the demographics of, it doesn't matter, Generation X, Gen Y, Z, baby boomer, you name it, somebody had to come up with a training program that would fit all of these different generational aspects and all the different things that happen with it. And so we started with the idea of, and I say this as a joke, it was going to be Freshpet University, but we decided we couldn't do that because all of our paraphernalia would just be bad publicity. I'll let you all think about that for a second. Come on, I'm waiting for it. Freshpet University. If I was wearing a baseball cap, what would it have on it? Oh, come on, guys. It's not that bad.
FSU? I mean,
No.
NPU?
No, Freshpet's all one word.
Oh, yeah, the big FU.
Yeah. So we had to change the name of it to Freshpet's Manufacturing and Science Academy. A little long-winded, but in truth, it actually tells the story. It's not only about education, but it's about our processes, and our processes involve a lot of science, and it's science that we actually go through there and train people on during the course of this. So that's kind of how we got started. That's kind of where we're going. It's a little bit of background about me, and it also kind of gives the direction of what our company core mission and values are, which is pets, people, and planet. So I get the people portion.
Yeah. Oh, great. So what we're going to do, Steve, is just randomly ask you a few questions. And then I would ask the apprenticeship navigators that while having this discussion with Steve, if you can think of some questions, because after this, we'll turn it over to the navigators to see if they might have some questions for you as well. So one of the questions I have for you is, how did you hear about registered apprenticeship programs?
Actually, where's Brandy? Did she make it back?
I'm here.
Yeah, she's here.
That fine young lady back there is the one who actually put the idea in the back of my head. Come on, show your face. You can do it. What we were doing is we were sitting there and having a talk with, I believe it was with Navarro, wasn't it, Brandy?
Navigator College.
And it was like, here's the line out. Here's what we want to do. This is what we're looking at. And this voice in the background goes, this would be a great thing for an apprenticeship program. And it's like, okay, what's an apprenticeship program? And about 2 meetings later, and then Miss Pham here comes into my life, and we're starting down the path of doing an apprenticeship program. We use a process called TWI, which is training within industry, and it's actually the basis for lean manufacturing. It was actually used in the 1940s during World War II as a process to be able to teach someone quickly and efficiently. Why did they use it during World War II? Because everybody's heard the term, or maybe they haven't, Rosie the Riveter. Yes, no, maybe?
Yes.
Okay, so Rosie the Riveter was, the idea in World War II was we could take someone from outside of a plant, bring them in, and in 30 days teach them a person's position. And so they designed this program on quick turnaround, quick growth, quick reliability, and be able to do the same thing because all the guys had packed up in World War II and had gone off to war. That same program, what became the basis for lean manufacturing over in Japan. They expanded it, turned it into lean, a bunch of other different things. And so with a high growth company like what we are, we need to be able to bring people in, be efficient, train them, and get them up to where they are producing effectively as we go through there in a quick manner. So that's how it all came to be. Brandy started the ball rolling. and kicked me in the hiney a bunch and sent me on my way down the path here with a whole bunch of reviews and stuff like that. And I love you both, by the way. And that's kind of how we went down there. It was actually quite fun.
Oh, good to know. Why? I always, for the apprenticeship navigators here, why did Freshpet decide to become a registered apprenticeship program?
One of the hardest things today, and it's probably one of the best questions to answer, is from our side, pets, people, and planet. People not only includes our customers and everything, but also the people within our organization. We recognize that there's a lot of people that, especially with COVID going on, people aren't getting education. They're not going back to school. They're not being able to do a lot of different things. How do you take a person, because in the old days, I digress, in the old days, you could join a company, you'd be with them 20, 25 years, you'd come up through the ranks, you'd become a manager, you do all these things. And there weren't all of these requirements to go along with it. Didn't have to have a college education, experience counted for stuff, all these things that allowed you to be able to go through and grow with a company. Those things aren't necessarily there now. And so we as a company made the decision to go back through and look at an employee and say, how do you have a career at Freshpet? We're a growing company. We have lots of positions available. We have a one-of-a-kind process. We know we have to teach everybody. Doesn't matter what you're doing. Doesn't matter how much experience you have somewhere else. When you come into our organization, you don't know our processes. You just don't. And so we have to teach you. So we end up having to teach everybody, from managers to hourly to everybody. So now how do we take that person and give them a career path? And what I think the apprenticeship program does is it gives you the ability to start someone on a career and then be able to build on it, give them the educational background, give them the ability to become a supervisor, a manager. We're even looking at incorporating going from supervisors and then having developmental training for managers. So this is going to be able to take a person through their entire career and give them a growth path so they can have a home, have a house, have a family, be able to put their kid through college, do all of the things. And especially in today's world with retention and everybody going in and out the door faster than you can say, Jack's your uncle. We want to keep them. We spent a lot of money in training people, and it's worth our while to keep these people.
So is that what you're hoping that the registered apprenticeship program will do, is trying to reduce the turnover rate or increase the retention?
We're looking to increase retention, certainly. On the other hand, it's an opportunity because Freshpet is paying for a lot of the education, education reimbursement. We're helping people go through there, and even after they're done with the apprenticeship program and going forward with education reimbursement and all the other things, keep giving people the opportunities to grow. It's one of the tough things, and then add to that also including advances in technology and then advances in how we train. All of these things are going to be keeping people up to date and growing their abilities as they go through. So that's kind of the how and the why.
One of the things I wanted to ask you, so now that you are registered, what's the next step? How do you plan to implement? Often we hear that, registration is just the first stage, the very first step in that apprenticeship journey. Now that you are, how do you plan to implement?
Well, here's the interesting part. It's a good thing when I got out of college, my first job was in sales, because what ends up happening here is because it is a program and it is a choice. My training manager, who works for me, and myself have the good opportunity of actually selling the program. We're going to be doing pretty much what you guys are doing. We're going to be sitting down with people and going, here are the opportunities. Yes, you can just go through the TWI program. Yes, you can get, you can learn all the different parts and machinery through the plant. Yes, you'll go through and get the same raises that everybody does in the apprenticeship program. But here's what you're not going to get. You're not going to get the computer skills. You're not going to learn about OSHA, the 10-hour. You're not going to get the TWI training. You're not going to have all of these extras that happen on the relative training side that give that person that goes through the apprenticeship program the ability to walk into the supervisory position as they finish the last stage. Yes, you'll have the ability. Yes, you'll be able to run everything. And if you're okay with that, absolutely great. If you just want to make the money and walk away from it and go home, you can do that. But if you're looking for a career, if you're looking to advance yourself even further, this is the way you want to go. And here's how you do it, and here's why you do it. So we get to have that conversation with everybody that walks through the door. I get to be your sales guy.
So I want to pivot right now and go back to the beginning. How, can you share with us, was the registration process difficult, and did you have any challenges with it?
The hardest part, I could say this, the hardest part was actually before I met you guys, because on my own, going out and finding the information on how to set up a program, how to go through and do that, just trying to sort through the state website and various other things, I will tell you and be completely honest, it wasn't very friendly. I had more printouts. I had a stack of paper over here that looked like I was starting my own recycling bin. Just a huge amount. Once you get into the system and you find the right people, and being the right person, Brandy being the right person, all of this, and you start getting directions from the Workforce Commission, from that point on, it was cakewalk. I knew what I wanted to do as far as the program and what it needed to look like. From that point on, once I had the direction, the documents, and the things that I needed, and I got some explanations as to how it all goes together, it really was pretty easy. I had a good idea up front of exactly what I wanted it to look like, and I think the person going into it has to know what it's going to look like. If you're trying to figure it out, you're going to end up having a lot more discussions with your representative and with people like yourselves, the coordinators. As we go through there, you're going to have a lot more questions. So I think any upfront work you can do to drag what an individual's view, concept, whatever it is that they're trying to do, if you can develop that idea up front on what it's going to go look like, it makes that process that much easier once you get into it.
How long was the registration process for you?
You're asking me, and you're the one that actually took me through it. I think it was
Well, how long, but I want the navigators to hear.
I think you and I we started before Thanksgiving, beginning of November, and I think we were done by the first. We had to get it in before the first of the year, so we were done in December. So we're talking month and a half. Is that about right?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure. So, and it was mostly, once we had it in place, the hardest part for me on my side, lining out the job requirements, which is what most manufacturers are already going to have in place. They have that part. The part that most manufacturers aren't going to have in place is, what do we want to do for the individual learning? What do we want to do for the relative side? And that actually took more time. I spent a lot more time with Navarro, finding a vendor, finding the people, doing what we needed to do on that side, and then figuring out how we wanted to lay it out with each one of the sections and what it needed to look like. That probably was 2 to 3 weeks of me going back and forth with them and figuring that out. Once we had those two parts and pieces, putting them together and finishing it up only took a week and a half.
So it sounds like this is truly a partnership where it's your local board, a local community college that could help provide that training aspect, and then the commission coming in and helping you guide through the standards and the development of those documents.
Oh, absolutely. And I love going out and talking with folks. And I love meeting all the different people that we're going to be working with, because let's face it, in a plant of 650 people in a town of 30,000 people, we're going to be one of the larger suppliers of jobs in there. That other plants as well, but we're going to be one of the bigger ones, and we're going to be growing over the years. And so the idea of me not being part of the community just doesn't make sense. That's just not what we at Freshpet, or my own personal philosophy of training and getting information to people, isn't going to do. So it was a great experience going through there and meeting all of the people, talking to who I needed to, and making acquaintances. I've got a whole page and a half of DOL folks that, DOL, federal, state. I got everything, all the way down, and just love it. It's a great way to go about doing business, and getting to be part of the community anyways.
Well, it sounds like you guys are very excited about this program, but why do you think that some other employers may start the registration process and then stop?
Yeah. Ours is a little bit different in that nobody has seen our equipment, and ours is a unique process. For us anyways, one of the incentives going in was this gave us the ability to bring people up to our plant and to begin training early and doing a number of different things. Because there's only one other place, and that's in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, that we have this process going on. This gave us the ability to train ahead, send them to a place where they're going to actually do the work, actually do it, and then bring them back down again. Most employers, I think, are probably going to stop in the process at the outside learning. The ILT portion of it. First of all, it's going to require the training manager to go through there. Do I have resources in-house? Do I have the capability of, whether it be a Navarro or various other different community colleges or whoever it may be, do they have the resources in order to be able to go in and handle the number of people that I have? Are my employees going to have to drive there? Do I have to drive, do I have to pay my employees for the drive and also pay them for the time there? There's a whole host of reasons that the outside learning portion of it make the administration of the program a lot more difficult than what it is. Our plant is big enough, and I've got a small football field for a training room in my plant. And so for me to break it up into five or six classrooms gives me an ability to turn what would be, I would call it my auditorium, into 6 different classrooms that I can have teachers come down, and I can do my training at the plant. I can do any number of different things. For the average manufacturer who's been living in a building for 40 years, and this is what we have, and the guy's got, the office where the bakery used to be, or I don't know, whatever, the guy's putting in there. He's got a small office that'll handle 2 or 3 people, and okay, what am I going to do with that? So resources, time, space, how do I bring it in? How do I do the scheduling? How do I get my people to where they're working 40 hours, plus they're working all of the additional overtime, all the other things, all comes with that whole individual learning side. So you really have to have a person and a company committed on that side to look at employee improvement as part of that, to be able to do that.
That's really good insight. Very, very valuable. I have one last question before we turn it over to the apprenticeship navigators to have them ask you questions directly. So my last question is, do you have any advice you'd like to share with the navigators as they start to engage with employers?
Have fun. Seriously. Seriously. There is nothing worse. I mean, let's face it, training can be one of those things where you walk in and you get the instructor that goes, "Hi there, how are you? Today we are going to." Don't be that person. Go in, have fun, enjoy, ask questions. I'll use my grandmother's theory. God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. That means you ought to listen twice as much as you talk. Ask your questions, go through there, figure out what you need to. Try and get to what the guy or the gal is sitting there. Find out what they're imagining, and then see what it takes, and look at all the parts and the pieces that you have to use to be able to put it together. You as a person are going to have contacts in your community and whatever areas that you're working in. Your contacts and your ability to get those contacts to help you out, to help the employer, is going to be what makes or breaks the system. It's not going to be the employer. if you can contact a college in that particular area and say, look, this is what my guy wants to do. Is it possible for us to do this? And then you play a part in hooking them together and getting that done. All right. When you take that kind of avenue for it, you're not just sitting there and dumping this on the guy and going, here, make a call. You're actually helping him go through and succeed in what he or she is trying to do. And that's going to be the major part. Be the resource, ask the questions, understand the guy or the gal's vision and where they're going and what they're doing, and then help make that come true. That's the best thing you can do. And have fun while you're doing it. Nobody likes Debbie Downer.
Okay, so now at this time, navigators, feel free to unmute yourself and ask Steve any questions that you have. So please don't be shy.
Oh, apparently we're going for shy. Come on, guys. I'm not that bad, honest. I drink a lot of coffee, but other than that.
No questions?
You can also feel free to make comments if you just have a comment or you want to second something that he mentioned earlier.
Like
This
I
is
said,
Randy with North Central. I just obviously want to tell Steve again that we're very excited that y'all are moving into our area. And we're looking forward to working with y'all and helping y'all to get staffed up, trained up. I think the apprenticeship is going to be a great avenue for you, as you mentioned, to improve the retention of your employees, but also just helping you to be more organized on that front end. Like you said, you want to get people in the door, get them trained, and get them to doing your business. So we're excited that y'all landed in our territory, and like I said, we're always here to help with anything that you need.
you are so kind. Yeah, the hardest part about getting into Texas is finding a house. Holy moly. That was brutal last week.
You should
Yeah,
come
it's
to El
crazy right
Paso.
now.
Yeah, it is. Way too
So
crazy.
Steve, this is Sabrina Campbell. I'm in El Paso Community College. The challenge that I run into, I mean, you're like a dream candidate. You are a dream partner because you were already looking for a solution, and you just kind of fell in with the right crowd, right? So I have the challenge of trying to sell the apprenticeship program and all the benefits to companies who don't quite understand the concept. Being a subject matter expert myself, I can see they would benefit from it, but what would you do, or how would you try to educate these companies? They tend to think that we're taking something away from them, or this is a duplication of effort, or I'm already doing it, why do I need you? Would you have any advice to give them?
All right, let me see if I have the question right. Go back to my sales days here. So the objection up front is from the people, at least that you're talking to, that you guys are taking something away from something that they're already doing, or you're trying to expand or spend more of my money one way or the other, correct?
Yeah, pretty much. We already have a training program. We don't need that. That's just going to take up more time, and we don't want to make that kind of an investment.
I think there's a couple of simple questions up front. You know, if they allow you to go it, or if you want to go there, you know, how many of your hourly people have become supervisors? How many of your hourly people have been moved into other management positions? What percentage? Right? Most of them, if I'm guessing, because you know, the company that I was head of for engineering and maintenance was a privately owned company. We had 120 employees. They'd been around for 50 years. And they were looking at, we know everything that we know about At the time, it was pierogies. Why would I want to go anywhere? And so the first question when I was trying to teach maintenance guys and all of these other things was, how many people do we have in supervisor positions? How many people did you bring in from the outside? They're going, all of them. Going, why? If this is a process that you have, if this is a family-owned process and we're going through and we're doing this, why aren't we bringing up people that have already been trained, already know the process so that we don't have to do that? We can teach management skills. That's easy enough. Why do we have to go to the outside to get the management skills and then bring them in? Let's go the other way around. And that's, for most people, that's the hardest part, is understanding that they're not taking their employees to their fullest potential. And that's the hardest thing for most manufacturers to be able to see. They're not just hourly people. These are people that we work with every day. These are the guys that we've been on the floor with for 10 to 12 hours every day. We're doing it 5 days a week, and we think that's where they need to be, not standing next to us. I don't think that's true. I think you have to go the other way around. So I think that's
an approach I haven't tried. Yeah, that not only are they investing, but they are building supervisors who have an intimate knowledge from the ground up of everything.
From the ground up. And that's exactly what we're doing here. I mean, management skills are taught anyways. Think about it. Why do people go to school? Right? Why do you go to college? Why do you go to a community college? Why do you're learning computer skills, you're learning soft skills, you're learning all these. I mean, nobody teaches sales. Nobody, it's not something that everybody has to do. They have to learn the product. They have to learn all of the different things that go along with it. All of those things are all being taught. Why do I want to go outside and find somebody that's already been through those processes and then bring them in and have to teach them something? Yeah. The second part to this is, if I do go to the outside, who's teaching who? All of a sudden, I've got my guy that's been here for 10 years is now teaching my manager. How well do you think that goes over, and how much respect do you think does the manager get at that particular point? The guy's making more, and I'm training him. Okay. So from a managerial standpoint, the guy sitting here, how much harder does he have to work in order to go through and get the same job done? I don't know. I mean, from our viewpoint and whatever, we have a very unique process. It stands to reason for us to build on the front side and learn the process and then teach the management skills. Now that's one avenue, right? The other avenue is do they have a training process? The question is there anything wrong? And sometimes it's good to ask, do you have a training book? Can you show me your training process? Or is it one of those things where Bob is going to be standing here next to Judy, and so Judy is going to teach Bob everything he knows over the next 15 to 20 weeks? So now I have two people doing one job and going through and doing all of this sort of stuff. So now I've got two people involved doing one person's job, and the cost of doing that, and what do I lose by not having Judy over in another position running another production line? What does their training program look like, and how can we come in and help you define it a lot more so that it's a lot easier, maybe a lot faster, a little bit more efficient as we go through any one of those different things? A lot of these people that say they have a training program, if you look at them, don't. They really don't. You look at it, it'll be a one-page list of items. Must be able to do all of the skills of a machinist. Now, they don't list what skills those are, and everything becomes very, very subjective. So how do I know when Bob is ready? Well, when Judy tells me. Well, do I know that Judy checked off everything? No, I don't. Because what's Judy looking at? Has to know everything a machine operator knows for those particular skills. Well, what does Judy know? Well, I don't know. I didn't train her. Well, how long has Judy been here? 25 years. She ought to know everything. But does she? I haven't got a clue. So how they're set up, what they've defined as their training program, and being able to help them in that aspect. Looking at it from outside or inside is another aspect of how to go through and do it. And lastly, what is their retention? How fast are people coming in and out of the door? If they're coming in and out of the door or they're hiring a lot of temps, they're probably not doing well. And their training probably isn't that good. And they probably don't have a training.
That's a good that is really good advice. And Sabrina, thank you so much for asking that question.
Yeah, I guess money always speaks loudest to the employer, right? Turn it into numbers.
Turn it into numbers.
Okay, thank you so much. That was great.
Thanks.
So at this time, I'm going to pivot back to Alicia. We still have a full, 20, 25 minutes where we're going to do some breakout. So Alicia, over to you.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Steve. That was really awesome. We really appreciate you coming. And just so everyone knows, Steve is such a nice guy that he has also volunteered to stay for the entire training. So as we move into breakout rooms right now, we'll move him around. We'll spread him around. We're going to have 3 different breakout rooms. And the goal is for everyone to have about 10 minutes for all of you to discuss the question that's coming up. And so, oh, you can stop right there, Kimberly. You could go back. I forgot to share that. If anybody is interested, Steve did volunteer to share his contact info. If you want to take a quick picture or write down his email address, he is happy to follow up if you think of another question later.
Yeah, honestly and truthfully, if you guys run into something or you run into a person and you have a discussion, or you want to have somebody that maybe that's on the edge, or as you go through and you're working with someone and you've got them just there on the brink and you don't know what it is, and you guys need somebody to come through and have them talk to them, give them my name, give them my email. I'll even give you my phone number. Well, I don't have my Texas phone number yet. And I'll be more than happy to sit down and have a conversation with them.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Steve. That's just the kind of partnership that we need. So we appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so one more down. The first question that everybody is going to discuss has to do with what has been a successful employer engagement strategy for you. And I'm going to copy and paste it and put it in the rooms as well. Just I'll announce it as another announcement, so if you don't remember the question, you'll have it. But again, you'll have about 10 minutes to discuss that question with your group. Some of the Apprenticeship Texas folks will be in those rooms with you as well. So hello, welcome back, everyone.
We're here.
I hope everybody enjoyed that. It doesn't look like we're going to have time to do our second breakout today, but I did want to know from the first breakout you did you guys like it? I feel like I'm hearing an echo. Somebody's microphone might be causing an echo. But anyway, did anybody have any comments on the things that they talked about? Did you enjoy it?
I like the breakout rooms. It's good to kind of hear what's going on in other areas as well, because I mean our territory is huge. We have 14 counties, so there's a lot happening in a lot of areas. But I think that there are other board areas that may have this down to a science, so to speak, knowing their industry and that type of thing. So listening to the insight that they can share is definitely helpful.
Excellent. So we'll definitely keep doing that then as a way for us to have some more intimate and private conversations with one another so we can all get to know each other better and figure out how we can collaborate together more. So that's the goal. We want this group to feel like it's a working group and it's a group of folks who lean on one another when they need help or when they have questions.
Are you?
All right. Well, like I said, the next breakout question that we were going to have, we will save for last time. So or save it for next time. Does anyone have any questions though? From anything that they heard today in the last couple of minutes here, are there any outstanding questions you want to pose?
I actually have a question.
Go ahead.
and it's for Steve. Um, so one of the things, and I'm sure maybe some of the other navigators have heard this too, one of the things that employers have been concerned about in terms of developing a program is feeling like they don't have enough staff to do it. They feel like they may have to hire someone to do it, or they worry about it taking away from someone's job. How were you able, I guess, I know that you worked with us obviously in TWC, but in terms of staff, was that was that hard to gather the right people? Did it take away from other things that y'all may have been doing? I'm just curious.
Well, I'll give you my numbers. There's my training manager and myself. And between the two of us, we're responsible for training 650 people.
Okay, so y'all are basically supermen then.
No. Here's what we did in our system. What we did was we set up trainers, a trainer and train the trainer program for out on the different shifts and for the different areas that we're in. So on each shift, there is actually a trainer that goes through a process of, train the trainer, how to go through it, how to do it, so that when they go out onto the floor, like for example, on one of our production lines we have one area that has 4 different production lines and houses about 50 people per shift. On that shift, they'll have anywhere between 10 and 15 trainers. And part of our program is as you go through the training process, as you go through the different levels, once you reach a certain level, the expectation of part of the program is that you become a trainer, or you have the ability to train, and we give those people the skills and the ability. Now, everybody knows that not everybody's a trainer, right? You got the guy that sits there and harumphs and is bad news and odds and ends and this, that, or whatever. And then somewhere right down the line, you may have somebody that's all happy and everything else, and that's the person you want for training. The supervisors go and choose those trainers as they go through there, and that's what they use in the system. So we work through our production and quality and warehouse supervisors to help them provide or make their people out there on the floor. So we have those people, we have an entire process, and we go out to every one of our supervisors as part of that process. We require everybody in management to understand what the process is, and we've trained everybody in the process, but we actually use those people on the floor.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Steve, so much for your time. And just a quick reminder, team, as we close out today's session, that our next training will be May 20th at 2 p.m. In that training session, we will continue this discussion on engagement and how to guide employers through the application process. We will review the boilerplate standards, the Appendix A, B, D, and then the Form 671. We will also review some of the approved occupational links and resources, because this will help you as you develop that Appendix A. So thank you so much for your time today, Steve.
Do I get to come back? Because I haven't had to fill out the B671 yet. So I'd like to come back so I can be a step ahead of the game, please.
You are always welcome to join us at any time.
Okay, cool.
It's not mandatory for you, Steve, but yes, you are definitely.
I'm sitting here looking at it. It says it is, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, I can do that.
But you are more than welcome to join us.
All right. Thanks,
Okay.
guys. I appreciate you having me here, and the best of luck to everybody. And I'm serious. Give me a call if you need me, or if you need some help with some folks. I'll be more than happy to talk with folks. You guys got a great organization. You just don't know how good it is yet. You'll figure it out.
Well, thank you so much. All right. Have a good day, everyone. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.